ask your blessing upon those who are gathered here. Guide us in our decisions. Let all that we do be to your honor and glory, for it is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Keeling, the roll, please.
Terry Hodge, Ward 1.
Here.
Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Louis Tonsmeyer, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Here.
Diane Tate, Ward 5. Here. Lori Pruitt, Ward 6. Here.
Thank you, Connie. First thing we got to do is get ourselves officially sworn in, since we've got 3 council members and myself. So, Ms. Keeling, if you'll lead us through those duties, please.
You ready? Go ahead and with.
Stand and raise your right hand, please. Repeat after me. I, Matthew Jason Taney,
I, Matthew J. Santini,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Georgia,
and of the state of Georgia,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the City of
and
Cartersville,
ordinances of the City of Cartersville,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of Mayor, so help me God.
of Mayor, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Go ahead.
We get to do it together.
Go get do it.
I state your name.
Jay Stepp.
Lori Pruitt.
Lindsay McDaniel.
Solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
And I will support the Constitution
of the United States and of the state of Georgia,
of the United States and the state of Georgia.
that I will in all respects
That I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter and the ordinances
of the Charter and the ordinances
of the City of Cartersville,
of the City of Cartersville.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of City Council,
of the office of City Council.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Keeling. The first item that we have to take up this evening is the approval of our council meeting minutes from the December 15th meeting. And council, I know you've had these for a few days. An opportunity to make any additions, edits, or approve as they are. I'll leave that at your discretion to make any motions or changes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. We'll start off the year by asking to add an item to the agenda. I'll need a motion for that.
So move.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item is added to the agenda. Chief Culpepper, if you'll step forward and help us honor one of our roads this evening.
Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you for letting me take time. The police department every year selects an officer of the year, and for me, this is one of the things that I enjoy doing most, because I get to see people develop and grow and become integral parts of the agency. And it tells me that the future of the Cartersville Police Department is well in hand, and we hire better qualified people every time. This year we had a difficult decision to make, because so many officers performed so well. And tonight I would like to present to you, just for your approval and so that you can get to meet him, our Officer of the Year for 2011, Sergeant Mike Bedekoff. Mike was selected because of his constant devotion to duty to the community. He's one of those rare employees that you get that from the day he came to us 3 years ago and brought with him 13 years of experience and brings a lot to the table. He's done nothing but try to succeed and does everything that we ask of him and gives 100%, which is all you can ask out of an employee. He does that every day and does it very well, and gets along with everyone very well. And he's not afraid to do the difficult parts of his job, and sometimes that's hard to find. But we're fortunate to have a number of officers like that. Mike is just the one that kind of floated to the top this year, and to everyone, so we're very pleased with him. We'd like to say
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you for your service to the city, and we just wanted to take the opportunity to have you come here and publicly thank you for the job you're doing for the city of Cartersville. Congratulations on what I'm sure is a well-deserved honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
We have another presentation. Hopefully it'll be about the same length and hopefully equally as exciting. Lloyd?
I didn't vote, and I will keep this short and sweet. I've got to lower this. Yeah, I won't go over everything. This is the city's audit report, June 30th, 2011. I think most of you have it. It's 131 pages. I tried to condense it down into about, a quick presentation and going over about 8 to 10 pages, and I won't get everything in those. I'm just going to get the highlights. I believe you had a copy of what I'm going over for the last several days, so if you've got any questions, really the best one to ask on this would be Tom. I mean, he's got the details. We've got the details in several big binders, and you just don't want to sit here, go into a lot of details, and I mean, it's painful. But again, for June 30th, 2010, the city was fortunate and did receive the Governmental Finance Office Association Certificate of Financial Reporting Excellence. It's very hard to get. You've got a lot of items that you got to get just right in there. You've got the MD&A, electric transmittal. You've got this huge array of statistical section, which is great for if you've got any new prospects coming in for the community. You give them a copy of this. It shows what the city's been doing for the last 10 years, whether it's growing, whether it's stagnant. It gives a good snapshot of what you've been doing. And the city's been doing very well, which is on this presentation. Let's go over the next one. The balance sheet, I've condensed it down. You've got the general fund, balance sheet, statement of revenues, water, and these are just your major funds. You've got in excess of 20 funds. In other words, 20 businesses that you're trying to keep track of. Assets, liability, revenue, expenditures, 20 of these that are condensed into this. These are your major funds, the ones that generate most of the revenues, most of the expenditures in the city. The general fund here, this one is the balance sheet, is comparing June 30th of 2011 compared to June 30th of 2010. And highlighting in green, this is just, most governments are always asking, because they've been historically on the cash basis, nowadays they're on sort of modified rules. Well, yeah, your cash on hand decreased $315,000. Cash on hand at June 30th, 2011 is still, this is just in the general fund operating account, not your capital project or anything. Still got in excess of $3 million just right now at that point in time. But your total assets, so your cash decreased $315,000, but your total assets increased $551,000. So, what you did is use a lot of those assets, cash, put it back into acquisition of land, buildings, any number of ways. That's the way you use cash, but your assets can increase because you turned it into another asset. On the next slide is the, if I go too fast, if you got any questions, just let me know. Okay. Here is your, this is where your revenues and expenditures for the general fund. Again, the general fund controls streets and roads, police, fire, operations, recreation. This is where all that is gathered and reported for the city. So your total revenues, the city operating account, the general fund, total revenues is $35 million. Only increased $122,000, which was still better than a lot of other cities. If because there was a lot of cities decreasing in total revenues because of the economy. You were fortunate in that you got a lot of sources of revenue coming in the general fund. You aren't just relying on, too many cities are relying on local option sales tax, you're relying on property tax, you're relying, you've got a lot of sources of revenue coming in. Majority of your sources of revenues did decrease a little bit, but your property taxes, because you got several taxes, forms of taxes, that was your big increase within either the franchise fees, taxes, the property taxes, law taxes. They either stayed the same or increased a little bit, and so you're real fortunate. You were able to hold your expenditures down. They did still increase, but compared to what you budgeted, your total budget, you came under budget $900,000. So there's nothing wrong with that. It will happen from year to year that you will spend more than you bring in, but you've got a healthy fund balance, so there's nothing wrong with spending more than you bring in, especially when you budgeted for it and you're using the surplus for acquisition of capital and something like that. You did issue some new bonds to defease some of the old bonds that were basically with the new rates that are out there now. I'm surprised more cities haven't done this. And a lot of the reasons they have not are because penalties for early defeasance. So what you did is you went out there, you issued $13 million in new bonds to defease some old 2001, 2002 bonds. In effect, you're saving $660,000 in interest over the length of this. So that was a good deal. Same as if you had a mortgage and you went out and refinanced to save money. It's a good time to do that. Next line. Now these are your major enterprise funds. These are business funds. These funds are really what saves the citizens of the city of Cartersville a lot of property tax. Without these funds, we'd probably be looking at another 7 or 8 meals and property taxes just to generate the money that's transferred from these funds over to the general fund to keep the property taxes where they are now. So we're very fortunate to have these funds. The gas and electric, I mean, if the transfer is over, I mean, without these, the city would really be hurting without these. The water and sewer funds, the first column, you got June 30th, 2011, 2010. Here your cash decreased $675,000. You said, well, that's not too good. Well, you got to realize your cash decreased $675,000, but you reduced your debt, not defeased. You reduced your debt $3,700,000. You purchased $790,000 in new assets, and you only decreased cash $500 or $675,000. That's not too bad. In your electric fund, basically you have no debt, and your cash increased $228,000. The gas fund, your cash increased $530,000, and you have no debt. So overall, your total assets in the water and sewer decreased $2 million. Total assets in the electric increased $542,000. Gas fund increased $267,000. The next line, and I've highlighted those in green on here. And then the net of all this, your water and sewer net assets, if you were an individual, your net worth increased $1,269,000 in the water fund, even though your cash decreased by $600 and some odd thousand. Your net worth increased $1,200,000. The electric fund increased $633,000, and gas fund increased $620,000. So these three major enterprise funds, proprietary funds, you increased net worth $2,400,000. So that's a pretty good increase for the economy that it's been. This is where your revenues and expenditures for the proprietary funds. You can see the water and sewer fund has a total of around $12 million, almost $13 million in revenues coming in. It did decrease $211,000. Your revenues in electric increased $1,689,000. Your revenues in gas decreased $2,360,000. And a lot of these funds, the electric and gas, depends on a very cold winter and an extended cold winter. That helps the gas fund a saw down to the next green line, you see, after all that's said and done, net income for the three funds, you had net income in the water and sewer fund of $1,180,000, electric fund $595,000, and the gas fund $542,000. And that was prior year. In the electric fund, you'll see up there special item MEAG. In the previous year's June 30, 2010, there was a special item in MEAG which you didn't have this year, which affected that. So all in all, the funds are still doing very well. You're going to have to go fund balance $98,000 in water fund, $18 million in the electric fund, $14 million. These are net assets, excuse me, and $14 million in gas fund. Then the next item on the slide, I'm just making reference to some of the pages within the audit report. Page 22 and 24, this is capital asset, capital project, mainly the SPLOST. This is where these are designated restricted funds. You see $4,295,000 compared to the prior year of $5,496,000. You spent $2,030,000 compared to prior year $6,800,000. These SPLOST funds, you spend them based on what it was in the referendum to, and as you get approval and you get projects lined up. So this is not really unusual to spend a lot and next year not spend much. So, but all the funds are sitting there and being spent in accordance to what the referendum. There is even a SPLOST referendum. There's several pages to the very rear of the financial report that will show you what was spent on it. All this money was spent for. Page 34 and 35 is your retirement fund. Your total assets at year end increased $4,241,000. This reflects a gain of $3,668,000. You know, everybody hears the stock market go down and up and down. So you were fortunate in that your retirement funds did not take a deep dive. In other words, they're sort of I haven't really looked at what they're invested in, but it appears that they're invested in some conservative portfolio, which is great. That's what I want my retirement in, conservative. I don't want to take, if I'm younger, if I'm 25, yeah, get a little frivolous and go out there and put it in. As you get older, you want something that you plan on. Plus the city retirement fund, you're about 85% funded, meaning if you look at the actuarial report, you have what the estimated retirement amount that you need in that fund to be, and you're about 85% of that, which is very good. The segment information on page 36 and 37, since this is component units to Downtown Development Authority, Cartersville Building Authority, Cartersville School Board, because this is a capper, these audit report segment information has to be pulled in and combined into the audit report. That's one of the things that makes the audit report so lengthy, is all these little compliance issues. The next little slide, I think I talked about this already a little bit. This shows you what your retirement fund has been doing for the last 6 years. So you see that it's gone from 2006, you were 60% funded, 2011, you're 85% funded. It shows you the asset value and the liability, that's the actuarial assumed liability out there. So, then there's some more information on 81 to 98, schedule information concerning non-major fund. We have to break them down to major, non-major. Governmental Accounting Standards Board, people in New York City, Washington, D.C. decided years ago how to classify all this. And these are all, I mean, you'll have, even in the non-major, you'll have some little small funds for $4,000 or $5,000, something over there. But you can see all that over there. Schedule of findings, we found no items that we considered material as it relates to internal controls and/or compliance. Those, hitting all the basically the good spots, the high spots. We did have one recommendation for the city, we've gone over with the economy finance officer, and it has to do with the maintaining and do they have a copy of this now? Okay. And it has to do with the grant files, you know, because I know, you know, you get a lot of grants. The city is fortunate to receive a lot of grant monies coming in, and so you get grant money coming in, you got grant expenditures going out, so you've got all these requirements. Each grant has specific requirements, reporting requirements, and so it would help some if all of this was funneled into Tom's office, so he can make certain it's all the way it is right now. A lot of it gets there, but still some's over here, some's over here. It just all got funneled and maintained into his office, so he got a real good idea of what is going on. That was one of the issues, and we struggled with that for a while, trying to pull it all in, and then it had to go here and get it. You know, did a real good job on that, but was able to get a good comfort with it. But it's something that I think he'll have cleared up the next year, fairly certain. But that's pretty much trying to keep it just hitting with the highlights. And if you've got any questions, if you've had a chance to look at it, I know looking at 131 pages, just reading a lot, it's a lot of reading a closing statement on the legal line.
Lloyd, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm real proud of that 60 to 85% pension funding. I'm really proud of the city going, what is the typical percentage of pension funding that the towns you audit would have?
Well,
Cities?
a lot of the cities are in with the statewide retirement system, so, you know, all the cities throw it all into the state fund down there, whatever they're doing, and it really fluctuates widely. It really, but it's normally, I've been seeing it within the last year, more in the 68 to 72% around in that area. But, so y'all been real fortunate. Now, and next year it could be they do better than what you do, you know, because this is actuarial assumed day and market day as of June 30th. I haven't looked at December 31st. It could be way down. You know, unfortunately, I'm always looking in the past. I was at a council meeting Tuesday night. It's Thursday. I was at a council meeting Tuesday night, and was talking. They were saying, "Well, what do you think about the June 30th, 2012 budget?" And I said, "I've seen it. I know you adopted it." And I said, "I haven't been paying attention to it because that's in the future. You know, I'm always working past." So, if you looked at your June 30th, December 31st, 2011 market value on the funds, I don't know. See anything, Tom? I don't know what it is.
They've increased a little over $1 million since.
So you've been fortunate. So it's even better now. So the city's been real fortunate with their investments, which is, if I'm not mistaken, they had, well, you saw 6 years ago, you weren't quite as fortunate. Whatever was invested in then, I think it has been tweaked some, so it's doing better now than it has done within the last couple of years.
This is your clean opinion, unqualified?
Yes, it's an unqualified opinion. It was on my notes here, and I got talking about something else.
It's all right.
This is, we can issue several types. The death type is an unqualified. In other words, we found nothing wrong, nothing that needs to be disclosed. Everything that is being presented to the mayor and council during the year on financial budgeting, we see no reason for you to believe what you're looking at making decisions on during the year. You can rely on that and make good decisions using that data.
Good. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question. I've been hesitant about saying this, but I think it's an honor and privilege to live in Cartersville, where we hear about cities being broke, no water, and I'm just wondering, how would you act in an environment like that? You're a citizen of a city, and they come up and say, "We don't have any money, we can't pay our bills."
Yeah, you are very fortunate. I see some cities, you know, we do a lot of work for, we was talking earlier, we have to travel because of the old rule or perception that you have to be considered an expert, you have to be more than 50 miles away. So in other words, we're having to travel all over the place, and we can stay busy just here in Owen County if some of the other would keep us busy. But I go Park County, Walker County, all these cities up and through there, and I've got cities that have negative fund balance and are worried about paying bills next week, and we're relying on franchise fees coming in, we're relying on this coming in. As soon as that comes out, they use that money to pay last week's bill, or they get a tax anticipation note before they even issue property tax, and use that money up. And I mean, so you're very fortunate. You've done real well. It makes it nice, like I said, to live here in Cartersville, work here in Cartersville, and I'm not worried about my investments, my properties going down in value of what the city's not doing.
Right.
Mayor, I think we're fortunate in this report, but I think we're also fortunate in some of the leadership. Tom, Dan Porter, Sam Grove, appreciate, because there's a lot of funds that you're keeping up with that we don't see every day.
Well, the fellow did a bunch of work on this, Michael Garland.
And Michael Garland, yes. But thank you, and Lord, thank you, but
You
folks are keeping
fortunate,
up.
and they have done a real good job, and I think it gets a little easier than, so that we can actually do an audit. In prior years past, I mean, we were sitting there, I mean, this little book, I mean, we were actually compiling it, and so it's a lot, it's now, we give them the numbers, and, between Mike and Tom, they're compiling it all, and which basically what it does, it helps the city saves money, gets it out a little quicker. I say a little quicker, it's out at that same time as probably these other little component units that we have to wait and bring in. We can't issue this until we get the audit report for the component unit. So, but they've done a real good job over there.
Thank you.
Take it away.
All right, we have a second reading of file Z11-06. Richard's doing double duty tonight. I do PowerPoint and present.
Thank you, Mayor. There have been no changes since the first reading.
Okay. Want to refresh our memory just a little bit on this?
What that is?
I know what it is. There might be other people out there who don't.
This rezoning case proposed for general commercial. Planning Commission recommended approval with two conditions: no storage of vehicles on site and no auto repair on site.
Outstanding. Any questions for Richard at this point? Thank you. I'll open up a public hearing for case Z11-06. Anybody wish to step forward, speak for or against, may do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing in relation to Z11-06 and throw it to council for discussion or for motions.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
And I'm going to make the assumption that motion is a motion to approve with the conditions that were set forth by the Planning Commission.
That'd be a great assumption.
Okay. And I'm assuming that second is going to be fine with those conditions there too. A motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carries. Pete, we've got the next item review.
This is a resolution that authorizes us to apply for a grant application to the State Historic Preservation Division. We have 104 of our properties in our historic residential districts that do not have individual historic resource surveys. And we got a grant in 2004 for the West End area when we did that. Since then, we've done historic districts by area and not by individual properties. This would bring all of our properties in line with the others that have these surveys, and the surveys identify such things as building type of construction, architectural features, and that sort of thing. And it's real helpful to the Historic Preservation Commission when some property owner wants to make alterations to the exterior of their building so that they will know what was appropriate and what's not appropriate. The grant, the total project cost is $5,000. The project, the local match is 40%, which is $2,000. And we put a $500,000 extra in there in case, to make us a little more competitive if necessary, so it's not to exceed $2,500.
Pete, we were talking about this in the break. Am I correct in the two oldest homes in Cartersville, neither are in the historic district at this time? And I'm thinking, was that Entwistle's home on Erwin and the other home close to Tabernacle Baptist Church? Am I correct in saying that the two oldest homes are not in historic districts at this time? In other words, you're picking up some of them.
But this grant is not to
Yes.
expand the historic districts. This grant is to document the historic homes that are in the historic districts, is what I understand.
It's picking up those homes of real significance outside the current historic districts.
Oh, yes, ma'am. We
That's
can
right.
individual properties as well. They don't have to be in the historic district.
Yeah, this is,
We
So
can
now
have
say,
those-
say it again, so this is expanding the current historic district?
No,
No.
no, no, no. It's just identifying those properties in the historic districts that don't have these individual surveys.
Okay.
But you just told Ms. Tate that we were gonna be doing surveys for homes that were outside the historic districts.
No, no.
oh, okay.
Except for the two or three that you mentioned, we can certainly add those to the application.
But I am correct in that the two oldest homes in town are not in the district.
They're not,
No,
not
they're not,
in
okay.
the district.
That's not gonna happen.
If you'd like for us to add it,
Help me.
application would be ready.
All right, any other discussion for the grant application?
I make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Let's get it.
It's the first reading, isn't it? No, sorry.
It's a resolution. I've got a
Okay,
motion
resolution.
and I've got a second by Councilman Pruitt. All in favor, give by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We do have a first reading of an ordinance, the amendment to our solid waste ordinance. Mr.
I was
Elliott.
thinking the same thing.
Yes, Mayor, Council. This amendment will increase the residential and commercial curbside garbage rates by $2 a month to help fund our new recycling program. Currently, the regular monthly fee is $17, and the fee for the senior rate that we call it, if you've got a household that's got homestead exemption for the elderly, we got a proper form filled out, we're paying $15. It's just going to be a net increase of $2 across the board, and generate about $150,000 in revenue per year. Capital, truck, Kirby, employee. Currently, we have 648 people signed up to recycle.
Very good.
We're excited.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Elliott on this first reading of the ordinance?
Couple points. This is follow through on a council goal for 2011, and we based that on a survey of Cartersville residents that showed it was supportive of it. So,
And I think the number of people that have signed up to do it is kind of a testament to how much residents.
We've only had, out of the 648, we've had like 2 folks that weren't really that unhappy, but had some serious questions about the rate increase, but it's been very positive.
Good. Okay. Thank you, sir. This is the first reading. We'll take it up for a vote at our next council meeting, which will be on the 19th, if my math is correct. Mr. Grove, you have the next couple items. We've got some appointments to take care of.
yeah, it's reappointment to the CV board. That's Jeff Watkins and Kathy Lyles for another term, and then on the rec board, reappointment of yours and Jace's folks, Howard and Patrick Jones, Howard Smith and Patrick Jones, and then who was Lindsay's?
Lindsay has Joy Hill, and then Laura, you've got somebody in the next couple weeks.
I should have a confirmation, but I did not have it in time for tonight's meeting, so we'll have it by next time.
Outstanding.
But anyway, that's the slate of candidates for both bodies, and they're recommended for your approval.
Okay. So if we could roll both those into one motion, if council chooses to, I'll sit back and wait and listen.
Probably also want to thank Calvin Cooley and Wesley Dean for their service on the rec board. They've maxed out on their time there.
Absolutely.
Come on, come on, come on. You're not gonna yell from the back.
On a side note, for Calvin and Leslie, who were charter members of the Recreational Advisory Board, I will have a recognition for them at a future council meeting when it is convenient for them to be here.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All appointments are made. Mr. Riggs, you've got the next item.
Yes, Mayor, this is an easement for the service line for the student center in Georgia Highland, and we recommend approval of that easement.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? And if not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Mr. Molinax, we've got a few items with you. First one being the change order for the Indian Mounds Road water main replacement.
Yes, Mayor, Council, this is for a contract that was previously approved by the council for water main extension down Indian Mounds Road. It was a water line that originated at Glen Cove Drive and extended up to the entrance of the trailer park. The original contract amount was $26,101. We have a final adjustment and change order to increase that by $3,143.50. This, for the most part, was for items that we had unit prices in the contract. It's just we added an additional fire hydrant, additional valve, had to do some piping on buying in customer meters that accounted for the increase. But the final adjusted contract amount is $29,244.50. The Water Department recommends approval of this final adjustment change order in the amount of $3,143.50. This to be paid for from the budget and will be reimbursed at a later date from a bond issue.
Any questions for Ed on this item?
Motion to accept this change order.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Continue on.
Okay, this is for the second phase of the Indian Mound Road water main project. We'll be running the water line through the trailer park there to tie into our system. And each of the trailer units in the park will be getting individual meters. It's currently master meters.
Yeah, we should.
This is a benefit to both us and the trailer park owner, and the trailer park owner will be reimbursing us for the majority of this cost. We received prices for this brass to install the meter settings from 5 different vendors with prices ranging from $12,063.60 to $15,104.00. We recommend award of this purchase to HD Supply Waterworks that submitted the low bid in the amount of $12,063.60. We do have the E-Verify and Safe documentation in hand.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the low bid.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I do want to go back and make a note on the agenda, item J1. That item has been removed from the agenda since we're already in a multi-year contract with our current provider.
Mayor, I've got a question. Ed, would we even allow at this particular time, would we allow even, I know we don't have trailer parks coming in, would we allow multiple units on one?
No, that's no longer allowed under the state's water conservation plan. We are required to have an individual meter for each living unit. So this brings us more in compliance with the state's.
Do we have many multiple like this in the city?
We have a few.
Few.
Now, we did get caught up in a bad situation. We've since steered away from these where we have a multiple meter for the customer, but they agreed to individually meter each living unit. And inside there. And that complied with the state requirement. The problem that happens there is you could have residents that are paying their water bill to their landlord, but the landlord may not pay us. And you see instances of that in cities in Atlanta. So we no longer go that road.
Period.
Next item.
This is for the rehabilitation of the elevator at our water treatment plant. At our water treatment plant, we have a freight elevator that's used for transporting equipment and chemicals to the chemical feeders on the top floor of the building. We were required by the state to bring this in compliance with current code. We received bids from 3 different vendors. Dyson Krupp Elevator submitted a bid, $99,843. Premier Elevator Company submitted a bid for $111,103. And Cone Incorporated submitted a bid of $163,100. We recommend award to the low bidder, Dyson Krupp Elevator, in the amount of $99,843. This will be paid for from budget and reimbursed at a later date for the bond issue.
Okay. Any discussion on this item?
Question?
Sir.
Items such as these, aren't they inspected by the certain individuals periodically to make sure they're up to snuff?
Yes, they are. And what has changed since this elevator was originally installed in 1972, 73, they require more safety backup systems. And so that's basically what this will consist of. Also, the electrical controls are a little bit aged now, so this will be replacing that.
Jim's notes reference a Georgia State inspector that
Yes.
told us this needed to be replaced.
Yeah, we were required by the state inspector.
I wonder how long this one will last.
Last one was
40 years.
40 years?
Yeah.
I won't be here, so that's all right, please.
Well, that's negative thinking.
I know.
Mayor, I just wondered, Ed, do you have, you probably don't, but do you have any clue how an overhaul elevator cost would compare with a new one? And this is a 40-year.
This is a lot less than completely
So I
installed.
don't have a clue. Elevator.
Any other questions or discussion? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion for approval, low bid.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ed. Mr. Anderson.
We sent bids to 3 local vendors for a utility vehicle that will be used at our parks. Received 3 of them back. The low bid from Franklin Tractor did not meet the specifications. I spoke with Sean Howard at Franklin and discussed the bid with him. And I'm recommending the low bid from Taylor Farm Supply in the amount of $10,399.32, which does meet all specifications. It is a budgeted item, and we have all affidavits to read that by and second.
Any questions or discussion? Or if not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to purchase from Taylor Farm Supply.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And Mr. Myers.
Yes, sir. This is the material needed for the Main Street Gateway project that is fixing to start here in a few short months. And the estimate for this material, and this is electric department only, is $613,075, and ask that you approve this purchase of materials.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? Not Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and before that, say this is coming out of SPLOST funds, is that
Yes,
correct? Just want to make that clarification. Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Motion to add 2 items to tonight's agenda.
So move.
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We have 2 items added to the agenda. Mr. Grove.
Which one do you want first?
Let's do the reservoir.
Okay.
Resolution, please.
Okay, this is a proposed resolution from the City Council recommending the denial of permitting the Etowah River Basin Reservoir in Paulding County. Reasons being there is no proposal for returning flow to the Etowah River Basin. There's no study or date submitted to determine the effect on existing communities to the Etowah River Basin's current or future water supplies. There are no provisions related to the impact of another severe drought on the communities served by the Etowah Basin. There are no proposals indicating a plan for recycling water or other consumptive use. Also, it constitutes an interbasin transfer. A little bit of the history on this: we were asked up front if we wanted to be a party to this, but at that time declined, but said we would like to continue to have input into it. Our water department director went to a hearing in Paulding County relative to this, got some more information, and while we weren't contacted directly as we should have been, they've extended the comment period through January 15th, so that would allow us to pass this. It will have a letter attached to it to the Corps and to the EPD, and if you choose to pass it, the resolution attached as well.
Okay, is there any discussion on this item? If there are none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And the remaining items.
Okay, the second one is relative to water and sewer capacity fees. You'll recall in late 2010, you all set these at 50%. With the excitement of the holidays, these have now gone back to 100% as they were outlined in that original ordinance. Anticipating that you all would want to talk about that before just allowing them to go back automatically, we've drawn an ordinance that's got an emergency clause in it. The effective dates and the date that they would go back to 100% is left blank, so that you can choose to either do this and fill in the dates or not, but I thought you'd at least want an opportunity to talk about it.
Okay. Here's an opportunity to talk about it.
Mayor, we heard from our water department during the work session, and Ed, we listened carefully, and there's no question that capacity fees help to pay for new development, and we had a healthy discussion on that. It's my opinion, Mayor, my comment at this time, that this is not the time yet to go back to 100%. I'd like to see us be proactive for new development and new industries, but I would like to, this is my opinion, Council, I would like to keep it on a year-to-year basis so we can look at it again in January, or maybe December of 2012.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion?
Well, just playing a devil's advocate a little bit here in the conversation is, if we do this on a year-to-year basis, Ms. Diane, when would be a good time to go up?
Well, I mentioned December of 2012, but actually I mentioned to the mayor it could be discussed again, budget hearings, which are, April, May, June. But I just want us to be open for new business, new developments. We all do. I think we all want that. So, and I'm not sure where the balancing act is.
Yeah, I mean, originally, I agree with you. I mean, normally I'm huge pro-business in trying to get in development, but the only concern that I have that I think Ed has alluded to is looking at that fund and what it was 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and what it looks like now. Obviously the economy slowing down is probably the greater deal of that. And we were shown some money that we lost out on this past year. Me personally, I'd like to see us discuss it more maybe at the visioning. You know, if we decide to leave it at 50%, you know, us discussing it more in detail when we have more time to, you know, hash it out amongst ourselves.
But you're
So
saying
you
this,
would leave a window open of three weeks to a month?
I mean, from what I can gather, we can change this at any time we would like to, right?
yeah.
You'd have to have a meeting to do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm wondering, will this be something we can discuss in the vision series?
Discuss anything you like, it's a public meeting.
Okay.
Can we confirm again, I believe from the work session, there's approximately $100,000 is all that's left in the
Tom,
water fund?
yeah, can you come back up and go through the numbers for us, please? I think that would help. Sorry.
Honorable Mayor and Council, as I said in the work session, there are two parts of this, the water part and the sewer part. The water current balance as of December the 31st was $632,000, of which $514,000 has been spoken for the South Urban water main replacement, leaving a balance of roughly $118,000. The sewer portion of this, as of 12/31, the balance of that was $930,000 and some change.
And for the last year, we collected again?
Last year, we collected water fees, capacity fees was $78,945, and the sewer capacity fees was $68,635.
And those were at 50%?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask Ed a question? Ed?
Come on forward, Ed, if you would, please, sir.
With us only having in the water, you know, a little bit more than $100,000, do you see, and obviously we'll have more money coming in even at 50%, do you see us having a cash flow issue in the next year? Do we have anything on you know, that we know that we're gonna, in regards to capacity coming up in the next year?
No, most of the projects that we would have to increase water capacity generally cost a lot more than $100,000, so we would have to put those on. I will mention on the sewer, we do have on the radar two projects. One is a plant modification so that we could obtain the use of one of the basins there in the plant. It's going to add some aeration. I think that's going to use about $300,000. We have another section of collector sewer that goes between Rolling Springs Road and the entrance to Hamilton Township that we're wanting to replace. And that'll be the last leg of a sewer that goes from Pettit Creek all the way out to the Canyon Overlook project on Center Road. So that we see is going to use maybe $250,000. So it's going to, we're going to see that one dip down too. But that's what we're kind of caught in the trap, that most of the improvements we need cost more than $100,000. So we're
keep in mind too,
If you keep them at 100 and nobody develops anything, you're still not going to have any money.
well, as time goes by, some of the bond issues are paid off, and there's part of that user rate that goes to long-term debt. So some of that'll roll off, and there'll be something in there. I'm not saying it's 100,000 or 5 million, but typically you're talking about the difference between paying for an improvement cash, which these funds do, and also then the debt too. So keep in mind, it's not the only source of funds that you got to do major improvements.
And it's your question?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Mayor, I'm okay with Jace's suggestion also. I mean, I'm okay with, I just wanted to get the discussion started.
Well, and to clarify what I was wanting to say is I would agree with Diane with us reducing it to 50% and maybe looking at it and putting a date of December 31st, 2012 to look at it. But I would also like for us to discuss it at the visioning, and if we decide, hey, let's go to 100%, set a date and
Well, we're at 100% right now.
So we don't do anything.
Because the old ones run out.
Yep.
I wouldn't wanna change it after the fact, because then you're gonna have people, businesses that would possibly come through, coming in and saying, well, you had them at 50% 30 days ago. Why didn't we?
Well, that was what I was alluding to with Diane. When is a good time to change it? Because
Right.
whenever you do change it, you're always gonna have a business that's gonna be within that 30 days.
Well, and I think what we did last year is we did it around this time for the calendar year and said, if we're letting you know right now that we've got a reduction in our capacity fees. We've rolled them back to 50%, very similar to what we did with the impact fees. We do that on an annual basis, that we've rolled them back to zero. If I was supreme ruler and king, I would keep them at 50 for the next 12 months and we reassess it then. But it's up to y'all to do motions, and I know how I feel about it. Do what you wish.
I'm good. Y'all have talked about it.
I'd like to make a motion that we roll them back to 50%, until, December 31st, 2012. And then you can understand that I'd like to discuss it at the visioning as well.
That's fine. And would you like to, in your motion, would you like to include a start date on that?
Today.
Okay.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign?
I'm abstaining.
And an abstain, okay? So 501, motion carries. Any other business that needs to come before council this evening? Motion to adjourn.
Go Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.
I like that.
That'd be on you.